Going. I'm live. I'm live. It's alive, guys. It's alive. This like I said, I don't know how storage works on my phone. Like I'm tired of storage. I'm tired of storage. I'm tired of upload. Like this is just better. And I figure while I like doll up and look like a hot mama, right? I figure I talk about like mama stuff, like feminine things, like unaliving babies and whatnot. Like, what's my stance on that? I never really talked about it. They call it abortion. Is it murder? I mean, if you see, whatever zygotes as humans, but like, nah, it ain't murder. Yeah, like the fuck it is. Like guys, my stance on, I don't know why I felt okay. The fact is this: it is murder. Okay, guys. All right. Okay, and I'm gonna touch on some facts. I'm gonna spit some facts out for you. Okay, or at least facts in my like I said in my other live. Zero is one, guys, and zero can be zero. So abortion can be not murder and murder at the same time, and you're all right. But I'm gonna tell you why I think I am. Take religion out of it, okay? First of all, I am someone. Well, first let's talk about me. I want to talk about me. Okay, so I've had several abortions in my life. The first one, like some. Okay, the first one was when I was 16, because I mentioned, guys, that I had like a living boyfriend at 16, and we were like way more. Obviously that was bound to happen. Um, I didn't feel one way or another about it. I didn't think like, oh my god, I have to get one. Really, it was my mother and his family kind of pushing for it because they did. I don't think Chris and I didn't feel one way that I don't know. I mean, obviously, I can't say it would have been the right or wrong thing to do now because I don't know what that outcome would. Maybe whatever. The point is this: I didn't think instantly like, yes, I need to have an abortion. Certainly growing up or the way our society, at least in America, is kind of there's like this carefree attitude about it. Like certain, yeah, there are people like because I did begin to, and none of this I'm proud of, by the way. I do have regrets. That's my point. That's what I want to get to. Uh, but it becomes like a form of birth control, like like no, guys. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to say the government has no right to tell you what to do with your body, and to sit and argue that it's rape or incest and all these things. uh, no, they have no right to do that. Just like they have no right to force vaccines upon you in your body or your children's. Because that's an issue I've had with Damon, where he couldn't even enter school unless you are, like the fuck, like that's wrong. It's wrong. Okay, it's fucking wrong. All right. So there's no arguing that you need to allow people to have abortions, but what you need to do is better educate people on um, what it is really, why it's murder, and better ways to prevent pregnancy. Because guys, like, here's my thing. Okay, so all right, so none of the times I got pregnant and had an abortion were accidental. Like there are women who are like on birth control and they did have like they were taking antibiotics or they were taking preventative measures and they still got pregnant. Like that's an accident. Okay, but when you willingly have unprotected sex and like it's not like it's not like fire hasn't been invented yet, guys, and you're just like figuring out like, oh, how come every time I do this, like after like so long, like this thing happens, like we know it. Okay, now my problem with birth control, that's why I've shared on my channel with my books video, books part 1 of 2. I've shared this book that's supposed to be really good. Taking Charge of Your Fertility by Tony Weschler, the definitive guide to natural birth control, pregnancy achievement, and reproductive health. Okay, you can read that because my thing was always, first of all, okay, if I always had, I never had I've always had negative, like, the the pros didn't outweigh the cons per se as far as birth control and me. Like, especially when I was younger, like after I did have that first abort, I started to get more. I tried to do the right thing and go on birth the pill, right? Um, whoa, like talk about you know I don't know, bipolar, or talk about psycho, like, yeah, then that I was becoming the woman I didn't want to be, which was nasty and just like insane. Like, I was aware of it, guys. I was aware of it. Like, you could call it moody, I suppose, but no, because no. It's not like because the pregnancy hormones that they're giving you either. No, because again, every woman experiences things differently. But I could say, as far as me actually being pregnant, like when I was pregnant with Damon, I really actually enjoyed it for the most part, except for all of the hateful, physically, I actually did enjoy being pregnant. Like, I didn't have many, like I'll get into that. I had, I suppose, like, sensitive moments and stuff, but yeah, no, certainly I had a negative reaction to birth control. And they're like, "Oh, we'll try, the IUD. You try all these things or the shots," and it's like that. I don't even have sex that much to warrant this. So that's how you fall into that trap, because really, like, unless you're just like, no, you're gonna be having sex consistently, and like that crazy persona, that your alter ego. I don't know. We need a name for her. We need, like, I don't know, like, um we'll just say Meredith Brooks, right? Like, yeah, yeah, like, yeah. Then I was Meredith Brooks, like young Meredith Brooks, like, yeah, I was right. I'm not proud to say it, but so I never saw abortion as like totally. I've always the right to choose, which I still agree with, but really it should be under like serious, like serious circumstances. Because here's my thing. I've witnessed this firsthand with this logic of women. Okay, okay, because the government has no right to tell you what to do with your body. As far as the man and woman who made this not human, that only counts when it's a miscarriage. Because that's my issue, is, guys. Like, I literally, genuinely seen women post on their social media platforms, like, the hate, like, they get riled up, right? The term, like, the right to choose is a hot topic, so it riles people up. So I've witnessed several of them, have those memes, like they would share memes about, like, basically mocking, like, the fact of, like, it would be like a sonogram of, like, where I say zygote, but I think I'm right. That's like one stage of, like, pregnancy, right? Like, when you're first, basically what they're saying is, like, oh, look at my child. Like, they're mocking the because they assume it's just Christians who believe this, right? That abortion is murder, but science, by all means, should agree too, because if you take, like, okay, take any pest control problem you have, like, let's say a head lice, for example, let's say head lice, because that seems to be another, like, pandemic that nobody talks about, which is fucking bizarre, which is so interesting. There's a show, guys, called, I think it's called, oh, I think it's called Creeped Out. Is it? It's on Netflix, and it's a British show. Hang on, I have to find out. Netflix, Creeped Out. Watch Creeped Out. The Curious. Yes, okay, it's so good too. Creeped Out. Creeped Out on Netflix. They have an episode about head lice, but okay, so there's, like, the grown-ups, right? You could say the alive, human, for, like, let's say lice are humans, right? So the ones you see crawling around on your kids' heads and everywhere that you don't want to take responsibility for, you would say, like, oh my god, like, they're adults, we must be rid of them, like, be gone. But then you're like, oh my god, I see nits too. Now, what are nits, guys? Nits are what, like the larva, or, like, not quite the walking and biting and sucking lice yet, so do you just let that slide? Like, or do you like, you're like, oh my God, how do I prevent them from hatching and becoming this louse that I know it's going to become? Um, how do I kill it essentially? Right? Isn't that, like, think of any pest control problem. If you're blessed enough to not have to encounter this weird, bizarre thing with fucking like communal head lice, superbug, right? If you've been blessed in that regard, just think of any like ants, bees, I mean, really any pest, right? Think of any pest. They usually have like a larva stage, right? Where you want to prevent them from turning into these bugs. So if that you have a problem with, adults essentially. So if that weren't the case, like if they were like, oh, you have to wait until like we can't nip this in the bud until they hatch and become a real louse. We just have to wait. I don't, or like think of other like I don't know, roaches, anything, right? Like no, like I don't know. I don't watch Billy the Exterminator. I never had a crush on him or anything. I don't know if he's out smoking canine or synthetic weed and he's lost in the swamps, but maybe he can like help contribute to this like theory of mine, like right? Like do you as a pest, like as an exterminator, do you and you're I know there's like more like humane ones now, right? But the ones that aren't, let me say that the ones that kill, nip the problem in the bud, aka murder the youngins, you would consider that. I mean, that is a thing, right? Like that's a preventative measure. Like you don't tell them, hey, these aren't really actually bugs yet. We have to wait until they hatch and become a bug so we can kill them. Okay. I don't think that's a thing. So it's not just Christians and religious people who are like believe this, guys. Okay, because first of all, I've seen women firsthand post mocking memes about that, basically saying how like yeah, it's not a human until it's born, and mocking like oh I love my little zygote or whatever, like mocking people who are saying what I'm saying. But literally, two of them I've seen post memory, like share memories of their sonograms of their miscarriage child. So like for like oh my god, it was 3 years ago we got the news that you weren't here. So which one is it? Okay, because you're and I swears to you guys, I swears to science gods, and whatnot. I swear to something. I swear to yous. Like I witnessed this. Okay, I'm not making this up. I witnessed people with this logic. And now there's been people on YouTube who have called this out too, interviewing people on the streets. Now, are they real? I don't know, but I would imagine, I'm sure this logic is out there when COVID became a thing and the vaccine issue of mandated vaccines. And he, the guy would ask, like, what's your take on like abortion? Like, oh no, we should be able to do what we want with our bodies. And then he asked, like, kind of slid in there, like, so what do you think about like this COVID mandate? Oh yeah, yeah, no, totally. It should be required. And it's like, how is that? How do you come to that conclusion if you're so gung ho on like your stance on abortion? And it is usually women, guys. It is. Men are allowed to have opinions on abortion, guys, because not all like what century you guys act like we're in a century that isn't this one, like like where are you learning about men and women from? Don't you encounter them on like a daily basis in your day-to-day living? Like 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 men are allowed to have an opinion. As far as law goes, I would say no law, man or woman in legislation should have the right to tell you like what or in that regard, I believe in the right to choose, because it would just be we really could be at the end of the day. I stand by the fact that the government has no right to tell you what you can and can't do with your body. So that would extend to every argument and every hot topic. Okay. Okay, so did that explain enough to use women who like just love murdering babies? Because that's the other annoying thing is like you go rebel style. You're like, yeah, yeah, like yeah, like I'm gonna get pregnant just so I can get an abortion. Actually, I think I'm gonna do. I think that's gonna be my summer like that's on my summer bucket list is to get one. I love murdering babies. You are gross because you're not helping anybody's case, ladies with that attitude. Like that's what are you doing? Like what are you trying to accomplish with that attitude? It's fucking weird. It's like non-vegetarians who are like, oh yeah, like when they know somebody's a vegetarian or vegan and they're like, oh yeah, I think oh I love the real baby calves, they're real delicious. Like they try to like I don't know. It's fucking childish. And in that regard, yes, please murder your babies so that you don't have like that, like you don't spread those genetics out. Yes, in that regard, I'm with you. I'm with you, gals. But otherwise, I ain't. All right. And I gotta say, a pattern I've noticed in these kinds of women. I don't know if they spun around like a merry pole or whatever. Like I don't know if they're like from just going around like just dancing around poles all the time. They got a little dizzy and didn't stop to fucking think that yes, fucking it is murder. Okay, admit that. So, but it isn't. It is kind of taught, guys. That to be like the attitude towards it was like, oh, right to choose. That's it. Like that's no more, no less. You have the people like I think like the people, and you too, Christians or whatever. Just say religious people, right? Or not just you people who are trying to stop these women from making the choice that they're pretty much determined to do already, like hanging out handing like baby hangers and fucking being your weird goofy ass fucking self ain't helping either. All right, because I'm with you in that regard. Like yeah, it is murder, but maybe go about it in a different way, not insane and like corny and just nonsensical. Because like I'm sorry, me seeing a baby hanger or being like berated, but berated as I'm walking in, it's like you're not helping your cause either. So in that regard, you guys have that in common. You're both like you religious radicals and you feminist radicals who are all about the opposite thing. Like one of you loves murdering babies and the others don't. Like you want them to stop doing it. You would think you guys don't have anything in common, right? But you do. You're insane about your approach. You're very childish and ignoramus in that regard. So yeah, like see, I just united yous. You guys can hate me. Yeah, it's cool. That's what I'm here for. I'm just here to cause peace treaties amongst everyone but myself. um, yeah, that's how I do. But yeah, like I like stop. Like your heart's in the right place. People like you religious radicals doing that, but you got it. Like, what would make you think? Like, you just have never sat and thought like, this hasn't worked since abortions existed. Like, maybe like how many? I want to know. I want to know. You fucking religious radicals doing that, hanging out and just berating the people that you're trying to convince to go on your side and believe what you believe. As they say, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Just saying. They're usually these like cliche sayings for a reason. So I would like to know: did you ever like hand a baby hanger or like like a literal shirt to some woman walking into abortion clinic and they they had this epiphany like, oh my god, this is wrong, I didn't even think about that. Like, did that ever happen? Because I don't think so, because you probably wouldn't be so. It hasn't. That was a rhetorical question. I don't even like rhetoric, but yeah, that was rhetorical. Okay, you don't need to answer that. But I would like to know, like, have you ever achieved your goal? Like, I want, like, there's got to be on record somewhere, because it's not like there's so many incidents of that happening. It's hard to keep up. It's probably, oh yeah, I could count on one hand how many times that actually happened. Yeah, you don't even need a whole hand. You just need a finger because it might have been like one time. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay. So like yeah, guys, as far as me, I've always just been like some people are like I used to be like that. Hence why I had several. I could count on one hand, right? And because it's just kind of taught us like yeah, like they do teach you like what it actually means to have an abortion, like the science behind it, like what's happening, and they try to pull on your heartstrings a little bit. And it's not really like they're not trying to trick you in like they want you to be aware of what you're doing, okay, which is nurture because I mean, you could call it unaliving, you know, like whatever. You could put some other like cool like TikTok spin on it now, but at the end of the day, it's fucking murder. Are you gonna go to like heavenly like karmic court for it? That's between you and not God. You know, that's between you and you. At the end of the day, say you don't believe in you're not religious. That's you at the end of the day on your deathbed, right? It's like metaphorically, but really, are you gonna be okay with it? That's your judge there, okay? You know, or at the very least, was your heart in the right place? Would you agree, or were you like boasting about getting like killing babies and shit? Because yeah, then you're going to be judged either by yourself or a higher supreme being, one way or another. So yeah, like there are circumstances where people thought like you know, oh my god, like I thought this was you know. So sometimes it's like oh my god, like kid, like I love you so much that I'm going to do this for you because the way I see the world right now, like for you and set up in this environment, it ain't it, I would feel I would just be murdering you slowly, so I'm just going to do it now, you know. And their heart is in the right place, okay, you know, sometimes that happens, but guys, for the most part, people getting pregnant, myself included, like you are like it was preventative. It wasn't a whoopsie daisy like oh my god, I met my the love of my life like randomly in this like you know like passing like talking on Facebook, and now like the night, like 3 days later, I let him impregnate me. Like no, like you knew that was gonna happen. You could have been preventative. At the very least, you could have tried. And sometimes accidents happen. Sometimes okay. Sometimes men and women, there are out there, guys. They are out there where they try to trap others with babies. This goes both ways. It's not just it's men and women who do it. I believe I'm a victim of the man of the man doing that. Okay, really. Um, but let me get back to so okay. So and the other issue with abortion, I have you could call it conspiracy theories, but really, guys, at this point to say that they don't use the not human specimens for human specimen experiments in science. They admit that. Like it's not a fucking conspiracy. Like they're not like praising Moloch, okay, but prior to doing it, but you know, call it science, right? I guess or money, or I guess that's what the Moloch connection at Moloch, you know, or but they're not literally like in fucking like in hereditary, guys, okay, at the end where they're like putting this fucking aborted fetus like on a platter and like no, okay, maybe I don't know, or maybe they, maybe some of them do. I can't, but I could certainly tell you they are using them for like other like hey like since this had to happen like let's use this for like other experiments. Now, if you do you see the danger in that, guys? Like if you're talking your genetics, right? That you this human that isn't so that you or that stemmed from your genetics is now being like worked on in science. I don't know. Do I haven't? I don't. Does that state that in any time when you fucking have an abortion? That much I'd like to know because I don't remember. I don't remember my like what I signed, but I certainly don't think I remember anything blatant, clearly stating that. You know, but really, like, what are they doing? And same with your placenta when you give birth. Like, can I? Why? Just give it to me, or at least let me watch you burn it or something. You know what I'm saying? Like cremate it. Like I want to see. I want to be there physically when you cremate my fucking placenta. If you're not gonna give it to me, okay? because I don't authorize that shit. I don't authorize fucking being mind freaked by Chris Angel. Without my, like I'm tired of you fucking sneaks, just sneaky, sneaky sneaks. Like, just fucking. I'm tired of it. I'm fucking tired. But yeah, like, so just think of it in that regard too, guys. Like, ladies, like really think about that. Just saying, like, I don't know. Do I have to? I might go to. I don't know. Maybe people should start going to abortion clinics and reading the fine print that they make you sign prior to. Because they are doing that. Okay, they fucking admit it. They do. In science journals, they do. Okay, and to say that it's not a fucking conspiracy theory. If I need to convince you of that, I ain't the one for you, I suppose. I don't know. I ain't trying to even convince anybody. I'm trying to tell you my stance, which, like I said, everything's open to interpretation. We're both right at the end of the day. Everybody's right. We all get participation awards, okay? So I'm not trying to anger any of who's out there. I want you to be happy when you're spinning around your maypole or whatever the fuck it is. You ladies that I've noticed have this weird like love of aborting fetuses to make to prove your point or something. Like, you ain't helping shit. All right, you ain't helping shit except maypoles or something. I don't know. It ain't helping women, okay, and women's rights and just this whole abortion thing and understanding why it is actually fucking murder. And it's fine to admit that. It's fine to choose that, but please don't use it as birth control. And please don't, like, you don't have to feel guilty per se, but maybe don't be bragging about it. It's weird. It's fucking weird. Not to mention, a lot of these pro-choice women are vegans, so it's like, how are you? I can't. I shan't even with ye. Yay, yees. I shan't. I'm just trying to say. I'm trying to tell you how I feel. I gotta get it off my chest. But anyhow, so I understand, guys. I've talked to you. This isn't about vape and being lame. Well, yeah, some of you ladies out there are pretty fucking lame, I gotta say, with that attitude. But okay. So I'm gonna get into, like, okay, why I in the begin like why I wasn't responsible with birth control or whatever, guys, is because, yeah, I was one of those people that, like, just really, like, really bad effects. Like, I wasn't the same person. So what the hell's the point in, like, enjoying the lay? It ain't even me anymore. Like, so who's this gap? I'm, like, sacrificing my own. Talk about sacrifice and, like, blood sacrifice. I'm now sacrificing my own self so that some other weird Samantha can enjoy this lay, like, pregnancy free, responsibility free. Like, no. So, like, yeah, so I would, like, yeah, you just kind of, like, and like I said, I really wasn't, despite what the streets say, I got my whorish, like, phase out of the way young, guys, like, before I was with Chris, so, like, 15. Like, like my hoe phase or whatever you fellas want to, like, call late. Yeah, my hoe phase. Yeah, I got that out of the fucking way. All right. So, um, yeah, like, so, as far as me personally, um, so as I got older and as I started to get spiritual, call it religious, whatever the fuck you want to call it, I'm like, oh my god, Sam, like, this is murder. Like, that's wrong. And I've always, like, told, like Joe and I had an abortion. Like, because we never were sleeping. Like, weren't really, like, this is an era of when we weren't sleeping together. I had already cheated on him, right? And it wasn't with the other brother. Nah, I'm a brother. I'm a brother effer, guys, right? You know my story. I'm a brother fucker. So, but it really wasn't. It really wasn't. It was Joe, and it was one. We weren't sleeping together. We did one fucking time, and I clearly, why would I have needed to be on any kind of birth control? And it was yeah, it was like, it was just one of those things where, like, hey, we're like a toxic, like, one of those things. This was like around October. Yeah, it was Halloween of October 2016. Yeah, I ended up getting pregnant from that. like, oh my god, I was so we agreed, like, yeah, like get an abortion, because it just like we were already in this weird situation. Like, why would we both knew, but that was irresponsible, guys. That was fucking. It was on both ends. Can a guy? I mean, if you really don't want to get pregnant and you're a woman, you can be on birth control all the time. There are things you can do. You can insist on a condom. I don't think men are the ones sitting there poking like holes in condoms, guys. That seems more like a woman thing to do. But I'm sure men. There are men. They do. I'm sure. Um, and just kind of they don't feel good. But the thing is, there's certainly ways men can. There's certainly ways that there could be like a male birth control. I'm sure there's men who would like that. Like, I don't, ladies, like you arguing, like women who are about that, like, oh, what, they can't make birth control for men? What do you think? All men are like, hey, yeah, yeah, they can, but they're never gonna. Like, don't you think there's some men that they want to be on your end? Like, they want to make sure. Because my thing with that, guys, is now I'm gonna get sexy here. I'm gonna talk sexy. I'm gonna, like, like, how is it I could be so whorish but yet so prude? Like, just like, what do you think about sex and stuff? So my thing was always, I always saw complete. Okay, my take on sex, right? Like actual physical, third dimensional, like impregnating a woman sex, right? As like completing the act would be completing the act. You don't pull out. You don't, like, if I'm saying, if you're not using protection, guys, right? Like, okay, like, well, either way, like completing the act, right? Like completing the act would be completing inside the woman. And I've always found that romantical, right? Because it's like, oh wow, they must really like. First of all, scientifically, you're just kind of. I feel like women should feel that way. Like, biologically, you kind of should. I feel, because it's sexy, it's high, right? Like, whoa, what makes that so high? Yeah, we're just like kind of biologically inclined to do that. Hang on.